she's my secret weapon, Kelly Jackson.
I know.
She gets extra. She gets
extra credit,
extra combat pay dealing with me the last couple of weeks.
Trenches at the moment.
Good morning, Kathy Helbig.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
We are doing great. You're not doing so great.
I'm doing fine. The house is on the market. It is what it is.
On the market.
And
typical seller. It's been a day and we're not sold. What's wrong?
house has been on the market for 15 minutes. I haven't had one offer. What's going on?
That's right. Hey, they're just stacking them up, buddy.
Well, it's a mental side of this, right? I mean,
it is.
It's so personal and it's so emotional. That's what you guys do better than anybody, is sort of walk us off the ledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go home and go, ah! No, I'm just kidding. No, it is. It's such an odd market, too, that, we're trying to read where we can be with pricing and what we think the outcome's going to be. And some of it's gut and some of it is, let's just try this and see what happens, because there's no roadmap. A few months ago, everything was completely different. Yeah. So, you just got to be patient. We got to read the signs. We've got to look at activity and the feedback and stuff, and then react according to that. But right now, 1 or 2 days in the market does not mean your house is not selling.
Right.
Well, that is a good point, because I think a lot of people, because the market is so crazy, if many people are expecting when they put their house on the market, like 2 minutes later, yes, you're going to
just don't know what to think.
Yes, and here's
I'm sure
a
buyers
real
are
piece
also
of it.
this way too.
It's almost like you have a personal attachment to your home. So it's a little bit like, why didn't anybody love my home? Right.
Yeah.
You have that personal, like your feelings hurt a little bit. Or I'm embarrassed that my house didn't sell in 3 hours. It sold in 18 hours. Everybody else is better than me. It's a real feeling. And people go through that all the time. So that is, talking about it and getting through and just staying in close contact. So you will be fine and we will get your perfect buyer.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about whether or not to do a pre-inspection before selling your home right now, because that was a topic we've talked about years ago. I was always kind of on the idea because, technically it's a buyer's expense. A buyer should pay for their home inspections. Secondly, a buyer isn't necessarily going to accept your inspection and not do an inspection.
Oh, yeah.
So are you creating more problems that you didn't have to? And then the buyer's going to find a different inspector who finds different things anyway. Yeah. So those were my stances before. I was maybe 70-30 on it back in the day. Now we're starting to see it play into strategy a little bit more. So what we're seeing is there are buyers out there that are foregoing inspections altogether. Right. There are buyers that are saying, I want to do an inspection for informational purposes, but I still want to have the right to have some options. Okay. So we have all different spectrums of buyers out there. So the idea now is maybe if you want to do a home inspection first, you might facilitate some of those buyers that were kind of in the middle of, I don't want to forego an inspection, but I'm going to still leave some options in there, but I'm going to put some parameters around it. Maybe we can knock some of those people off into the camp of, I'm foregoing inspections altogether to win this house. Right. So that's really the reason why people are starting to think about maybe doing it right now. The con is anything you find on that home inspection now is a discovery or as a
you have to disclosure
issue
to the seller,
so
the buyer.
But how many things are you really going to hide from the buyer anyway? So it's a case by case basis. I sit down with each person and decide. But it definitely could aid in this type of a market to say,
if I'm a buyer and the seller says, look, I've already done an inspection and here's this and this and this, I would feel better.
Exactly. It helps you tighten up your reins on your offer, because at least you've got some current information to look at. Now, a tip for that, if you are going to consider doing that, is don't necessarily go with a small time, no name inspection company. Right. Because for all they know, it's your Uncle Larry that did the inspection. Yeah. So if you go with a reputable, bigger, definitely ASHI certified, that's the American Society of Home Inspectors certified inspectors.
Do a legit, above board.
Correct.
Because you want the power to say, here's the inspection.
Yes.
This is the house
there's
you
two
buy.
types of inspections that you're hearing about in this market now. The walk and talk and a regular inspection. So the walk and talk is more used for buyers that have this window of time to come in and look at houses over the weekend. Offers have got to be in on Sunday or Monday. So you grab an inspector, you take them with you on the showing, and then they walk around with you and say out loud, this is the concern, this isn't. That's
an HGTV show.
Yeah, there's no written report. So that's a little bit more affordable. Right. quicker
Yeah.
and gives you information to make you feel hot or cold about the house.
Right.
The printed inspection, if you're a seller, you're going to want the printed inspection. Another way to decide if you should do it or not is, do you think there's some issues with your house that could scare a buyer? So, for instance, you've got some foundation repairs in the past.
Yeah.
Foundation repairs can look scary. So if you've got a bunch of buyers coming in, they see a bunch of repairs in the past, and even though you have warranties and even though you haven't had any issues, they don't know that as a buyer. It's scary.
Yeah.
Mom and dad's telling them, "Ooh, don't buy a house with foundation issues," that type of thing. So in that type of situation, you might be in a better position to go ahead and get that home inspection that then addresses all of that stuff recently and makes the buyer feel comfortable, because I can tell you, most buyers are not going to forego an inspection on a house that has visible issues.
Yeah.
So either if you think it's going to help, great. But if you think it's just they're going to do it anyway, because let's say it's bowing by 3 feet.
Right.
Either way, they're going to be doing an inspection. So do you want to pull up more disclosure issues for them or less? You just got to weigh it out case by case.
If I'm a buyer of a house and the seller has a full inspection, top of the line, good, bad, or otherwise, I'd feel good about that house because they're above board, they're playing fair, and everything else.
And that's the biggest thing I can say, especially in this market. Just disclose.
Yeah.
As much as you know, because people are, I've been saying this for a while, the backlash on this market's going to be lawsuits, because people feel like they lost their options. They were under duress. They were pushed into something. They had no other choices. They were uneducated. And then next thing you know, the fallback's going to be
what's going on with the market? Still hot as ever? Has it changed at all?
Hot as ever. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting. We're seeing a lot more calls for listings. People are considering putting their houses on the market. We haven't seen a flood of it yet, although this is spring, so that's where you're going to see the most houses come on anyway. Definitely time to get in there and get it out before the summer market has the most inventory. That's an asterisk of the most inventory. That's still very little inventory.
Yeah.
But still, we're definitely got a lineup of buyers. Interest rates are not scaring buyers right now at all.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people in the first-time buyers category maybe that has to adjust their price a little bit because of the rate. But other than that, it's just getting people out there more.
Anecdotally, I am hearing or seeing that there are a lot of people moving in from Texas and California and Colorado. Are you hearing that too?
Yeah. We definitely have some out-of-towners or having agents show our listings that are from out of town as well. I
mean, you don't hear that in the news, but I guess because real estate, I don't know. I just find it interesting that it seems like a lot of people who are looking for homes are in from out of Washington, D.C.
This is true.
Yeah.
I found a stat this week that was interesting. It's Fair Housing Month. So we were looking at different biases and gender biases and stuff, and there's actually a larger percentage of single women that buy homes more than single men.
Really?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
That's something.
So they're second in number group behind married couples is single women.
Oh. See that?
So there you go, Cal.
She's my she's my secret weapon, and hats off to you. You're I don't know how I'd do it without you. Kathy Helbig, 314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD. Buying or selling, there's only one way to do it. Kathy Helbig with the whole group, KathyHelbigGroup.com. Good stuff.
Thanks, John, on the text line.
John from Florissant.
John from Florissant.
You
Thanks,
apparently
buddy.
owe Kathy Helbig an umbrella. You broke her umbrella.
What?
It's outrageous.
The rain did.